Hi, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to Nasha's Art. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to draw lips. I will show you the basic shapes that you will need to draw in order to construct an accurate pair of human lips around them. With that, I'm hoping that you can then go away, practice a bit more, and feel way more confident drawing lips. Let's get to it, but just before we get started, please do like and subscribe. The first technique I'm going to show you is the simplest way of drawing lips, and you begin by drawing a horizontal line across the page. Now add a vertical line that's not as long as your previous horizontal one. And that should be as wide as you would like your lips to be. The next thing is to make sure that from the center point you measure the same amount this way. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3.5 centimeters, and from this way I'm also going to do the same from the center line. 1, 2, 3.5 centimeters. 1, 2, 3.5 centimeters. That means that my mouth will be as wide on the one side as it is on the other. Once I've done that, I'm going to draw a sort of squashed triangle shape. And I'm going to use my eye. I'm not going to use the ruler for this. I'm going to come up on one side. Same on the opposite side, like this. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. But for the bottom of the triangle, I might make it a little bit wider. Can you see that this is wider than the top part? And same, I have to turn it a bit to make it easier. So you can see that we've got a squashed triangle shape. I'm just going to redo this line so it's a little bit smoother. The next step is at the top of the triangle to do a sort of curve that crosses over like this. So as you can see, you've probably worked it out. This top area of the triangle is the top lip, and this bottom area that's slightly larger is the bottom lip. Top lip, bottom lip. Once you've done that little curve in the middle, you're also going to curve from about here and here. I'm going to do that, a sort of gentle curve to take away the point, because this is the curve of the bottom lip. By this stage you can already begin to rub things off that you don't want to reveal the shape that you do want. Now for the rest of the shape of the lips. I like to do a little dot for the corners, and you're going to come up and curve this round. Same on the other side. I'm going to come up and gently curve this round. So now I have a bit more of a proper shape on my top lip. For the bottom lip, they tend to come in a little bit like that. And same on this side. Bring it in a bit, and then join the bit you did earlier, like this. Rub off anything that you don't need, clean it up. Now we want to get the shape in the middle. We first are going to mimic this just below where this line, these two lines cross. So we're going to come on the left side, come down a little bit, and come back up. because the middle of the top lip tends to have a little protrusion that comes out. The central line of the lips is not straight, so we are going to curve up above that central line, along, and then down below it a little bit. Same on the other side, we're going to curve up above the central line and down below it. You can adapt this shape slightly depending on what you need for the lips that you're drawing, but this just gives you a general idea of the easiest way that you can draw lips. And then you can use the rubber just to clean up those guidelines so that it looks a bit more lip-like. I like to curve the bottom lip a little bit as well as it comes out. Just curve that slightly. And if you imagine I then put some of the sort of curves of the lips on, it would look a bit like this. It gives us an idea of the angle of the lips and how the creases form. The second method for drawing lips also begins in a similar way. You draw your straight line, and you need to draw a vertical line in the middle of that. And your vertical line this time, you don't need to worry about how wide that is yet, because we'll get the width of the lips later. But what we do need to do, just as before, is make sure that we have the same length on this side as we do on that side. So I'm going to, for these lips, I'm going to do about 1, 2, 3, let's go 4 centimeters this time, a little bit wider. 1, 2, 3, 4 centimeters on this side. I've now got my 2 marks, so I know that my lips will be symmetrical. The first step with this pair of lips is that we're going to do a sort of oval circle shape that comes below the center of this cross. So it's going to come, I've actually marked the spot there, it's going to come below there. And the top of this oval I'm about to draw is going to come in the center of the lips here. Now I'm going to draw that oval. I like to press lightly at first until I'm happy with the shape I've made. So there's my oval. And I'm happy with that shape now. Either side of that oval, here and here, I'm going to draw a taller overlapping, much thinner oval, like this. So another oval here, and you can see this oval is not straight, it's at an angle. I'm going to do the same angle this side. Another oval, making sure I keep it as symmetrical as possible, overlapping. Like I said, start pressing lightly first until you're happy with that shape. I have my 2 ovals overlapping the central circle. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 wide-ish circles, one here and one on this side. However wide these circles are, that will give me the sort of width for my bottom lips. My bottom lip, I should say. So I don't want to do it too thin, unless I want really thin bottom lip. I'm doing one oval on this side as a sort of eggy, ovally type shape here. And one on the other side. Just make sure that fills in there. And one on the other side. I try to kind of get that shape the same on one side as I can on the other. Takes a little working at it and several times going round until I feel that they are the right kind of shape. Once I feel that they are the right sort of shapes, you can always rub off a bit. You're going to rub off more later anyway, but if you feel that you've done one slightly bigger, just keep working at it until you get the right sort of size. Finally, there's a small oval that goes in between. Once you've got your oval shapes all put in, all plotted in, the next thing is to form our actual lips around this. I'm going to begin with the little curve up here, the top lip. I do a little sort of crescent shape, which then curves over the top and down to the dot. I can always adapt this later, but this is just general plotting of the lip shape. Now for the general shape of the bottom lips, I'm first going to go here and put that curved line for the base of the lip. I'm then going to go to the end dot and I'm going to come in just a little bit and curve round and join these two. End dot, come in a little bit, curve round and join these two. That gives me a very general outer shape for my lips, which I will come back to and adapt later, but that gives me a general shape. Now we need the central part of the lips. Like we did here, we need to get that onto this. First step would be to follow your two larger circles round and hug the base of this oval here. Then continue above your central line and then come below it to meet the dot. Again, we can adapt this as we go, but this gives us a vague shape of what we want. Above the central line, below, and there to our dot. Once you've rubbed off the inside guideline shapes, you can then go back in and edit the shape as you see fit. So I can already see that I've done this bit a little bit too thin. And so I'm going to take that off and just edit that now. I actually want it to be just a bit wider. And I can also, sometimes the lips, they're not just a lump, there's like a little bit that goes up and down like that, so I'm going to edit that bit as well. I'm also going to bring a tiny bit of this in and make it just a little bit straighter. Some people have that sort of little sort of thing under the lip. I've also decided to just make this a bit less exaggerated so that the top lip isn't quite as thin as I had it before. And once the guidelines are removed, it's a little bit easier to then do these minor adjustments to make the lips how you really want them to look. The other thing to note is that, generally speaking, lips tend to be a bit more fuzzy around these edges, and more prominent here. So these lines you can actually press a bit harder and then make it a bit lighter. So a little bit, press a bit heavier towards the middle of the lips, and then get lighter as you come down. And although we're not doing shading, that kind of does also help to describe them a little better. Even with these lines, you can make them a bit lighter and focus on them getting a bit more thicker and darker towards the middle where there's more shadow. So we're using the line, darker and lighter lines, to just describe the lips a little bit more without actually shading. Even here, I'm going to just make the line a bit thicker to help describe the shape better. And I'm going to get lighter up and then darker for this little crack area here at the edge of the lips. Darker here and then lighter towards the edge. Darker in the middle and then lighter here and darker towards the center of the lips. Let's have a go at a side profile, rather like these lips here. So we'll begin with, so if you imagine the nose as this, then just under the nose, between the nose and the lip, there is a curve. So we want to get that curve. And then we'll begin the top lip by curving round. For this, to understand the basic underlying shape, you would have a circle here and another slightly larger circle at this angle for the bottom lip, which would then of course come in for the chin. We're now going to turn these into the side profile of the lips. So we'll come up and over and press lightly because we will come back and correct this. Come round, up and in. And for the bottom lips, we curve round and back up. That gives you a basic idea, but what of course we need to then do is correct the shapes once we eliminate our guiding circles. We rub off those guiding circles. It gives us a bit more space to see where we need to adapt the shapes. First thing I can see is that we need a bit more of that little bump in the middle of the lip that comes down. So we'll curve that round. And I'm going to bring this up. And I can see that that's a little bit thin, so I'm going to make it a bit thicker and wider. like that. The last thing I want to do is just adapt this shape of the bottom lip so it makes a little bit more sense. So I'm going to come in here and bring it round, and maybe even do just a little bit of a curve around it. That gives you a good idea of how to get the general shape of human lips. Once you master the shape, you can then focus on the shading, which is a whole new kind of set of skills. So keep looking out for more of my videos on how to draw parts of the human body and the human anatomy. And some hopefully coming soon on how to shade them as well. Hope you loved this tutorial. Do check out my artwork on Insta at Nash Henkel Art.